Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be talking about Sentry, and more specifically a 6-star rank 3 Sentry. One of my subscribers sent me some footage of a 6-star rank 3 Sentry, and it's very unusual rank up for sure, and it's very interesting. And I was also somewhat impressed with the Sentry, but at the same time it immediately kind of like got my brain working a bit, because the things that I saw from this 6-star rank 3 Sentry definitely seemed well, quite considerably better than from a champion like Airwalker, for instance, and with all of the advertisement reels that have been made for Airwalker, showcasing the best bits of him. But yeah, so here we have a champion that has been memed and abused, laughed at and discounted by pretty much everybody except like Idolist. And let's remember Idolist, the fallen YouTuber, who definitely would have taken his Sentry after rank 3 as well, would he be still playing. But yeah, here we can see a nice 98 crit from a so-called meme champion. So clearly he can throw a punch, right? But the real problem everybody always accented about Sentry was the lack of utility. But now, if you do think about it, Sentry has just about as much utility, more or less, as Airwalker does. As far as I'm concerned, well, and that is pretty much neither. Neither of them are immune to anything. Neither of them excel at anything in particular. Both of them have access to unblockable special attacks when launched correctly. And if anything, I prefer Sentry because he doesn't really rely on debuffs and buffs as much, therefore he doesn't suffer nowhere near as badly as Airwalker would on buffet nodes or on nodes that shrug off debuffs quicker, like rapid metabolisms or tenacities or just debuff immunity, so on and so forth. So realistically, in my head, there are far more situations where I would be able to use Sentry better than I would be able to use Airwalker. So I think Sentry also kind of takes a cake. And keep that in mind that Sentry is already an outdated champion from, what, 2018, I think? And that everybody makes fun of. But now we're receiving these mediocre champions coming out in 2020, and everybody's just pretending that they're good. And obviously, part of being a YouTuber is trying to find the best things about any champion. But objectively, when you put together something that has been memed for years with something that's just released, and it turns out that the meme is actually better, it definitely did make my kind of like head go. But anyway, so we can check out some of the fights here. I'm just gonna hit play here at this point. Here we have Sentry with 5 persistent charges already up against Vision. Please take notice that this is without Suicide Masteries, and the damage would still be increased. There are also no boosts activated, because quite a lot of these showcases these days are 6 stars, rank 3 boosted, Suicide Masteries and all that other stuff. And that is another thing, that champions of the past didn't have the benefit of always being showcased in the best light, because previously they were only showcased as a rank 3 5-star champions, and before that they weren't showcased at all. Like, I don't think Sentry actually got like a showcase from CCP because it was such a long time ago. Here we can see nice 92 crits, so 34 hits in, the Vision's already at like 40-something% health. And that is well better, I think, than Airwalker can do. And again, this is like no Suicide Masteries, no boosts, no kind of like special setups or anything. It's just Sentry putting in work there. There are probably some synergies going. I didn't actually get to see the team that he used. But still, I'm definitely impressed for a champion that's meant to be an absolute meme, right? That's used by no one, that's discarded as not good enough or doesn't have enough utility. And then we see numbers like this appear, right? You can see how is he gonna finish the fight. Is he gonna go for level 2 there? Yeah, there we go. Absolute strength, 92k crit once again, so 90k plus the first hit, so 100 plus k special attacks, easy. Now he's up against Storm, and some of those heavy attacks bash hard as well. I think in Scarlet Witch fight we're gonna see some juicier heavy attacks. But yeah, so for now, there are some kinks and tricks obviously to using Sentry. overall, it's not too complicated there. You just need to remember the 4 phases. That the first phase, first phase basically does nothing. It did something. I think it has like a combo shield or something. The second phase is level 1s are unblockable and have extra damage. Third phase, steadfast, is heavy attacks deal extra damage. You can see that there are nice 23k crits on heavy attacks. So there are 2 parts. If you crit both, then you can heavy for like 45k. If you only crit one, you hit for like 30k or 28k, which is still huge. And then the third phase, alright, that's the fourth phase, and that is a level 2, and that is like the big daddy damage over there. And here you can see 34 plus 92, that's 126k, something like that. 127k level 2. It's definitely not bad amount of damage for a champion that's generally kind of like discarded as not good enough. And Sentry here is a champion that could, I suppose. But obviously, the damage isn't the issue with Sentry. Obviously, it's what else he can do aside from hit hard, because in today's game, champions have to be able to do some other stuff than just put up some nice numbers. And that's where the problem with Sentry is, because it doesn't do much else. Neither does Airwalker, neither do many of the other extremely complicated champions of 2020. And it's very important to realize it. And actually, as I'm posting this video, I'm definitely hoping that it kind of clicks a light bulb in somebody's brain. And there are people who say I'm always extremely like negative. I don't like any champions or whatever. And it's none of that. But also, just because a champion is new, check that out. 30 hits, 32 hits, she's at like 20 something percent. I'm gonna play this again. Just because a champion is new, it does not mean that a champion is better than old ones. And just because new champions all get very shiny, very beautiful new showcases, does not for a second mean that they are better than champions that already exist in content. They might be different, and they often are. They might have more complicated abilities, and they might have some different things going on for them. But ultimately, how much of that matters? Like, Airwalker has a Bible of text, and very, very, very little of it actually does anything, or does anything worthwhile enough. And that is kind of like the key that people, I think, typically see some decent numbers or see some interesting abilities and get often hyped. And then there are 2 very different sections, because this is obviously a game. Game is meant to be fun, and not every champion has to be the best champion. If a champion is fun, in my eyes, ultimately the design of the champion has been success. Like, for instance, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl does decent amount of damage, is not really the greatest champion, but she's fun to play, she's interesting, she's quirky, she's a good addition to the contest. And then we have champions like Terax or Mole-Man, who just do nothing, really. Okay, they do something, but what they do is not worth doing, kind of thing. And yeah, I personally found it quite refreshing to see this rank 3 6-star Sentry go to work and put out some damage. And especially after watching all of the Airwalkers CCP videos, advertisement reels, and everything else, showcase of the best scenarios and boost and ranks and whatever not, seeing somebody take a chance on Sentry. And to me, if I were to put side by side Airwalker and Sentry footage, and I would have no prior knowledge to the either of champions, like abilities or release times or anything else, I would pick Sentry. Sentry, to me, based on this footage compared to footage of a 6-star rank 3 Airwalker, looked better, looked quicker, looked less clunky, more fluid. And yeah, that's the champion that I would pick. And that's about it, I guess. I just wish that people sometimes step back, look at what they're really seeing, and make a decision by themselves, not based on what somebody else tells them to think about a new champion. Because this channel definitely always emphasizes the fact that everybody should think for themselves and come to their own conclusions. Anyways, that will about do for today's video. I have kept you guys long enough. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think. Who is better, Sentry or Airwalker? But that is me done for today. Share this video with your friends. Ask them what they think, Sentry or Airwalker. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. See ya.